Greetings from the World Meteorological Organization, the specialized agency of UN on weather, climate and water. First, I would like to thank for the opportunity to speak to you and address you at the 77th session of Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. Extreme weather conditions and climate conditions have continued into this year. The Asia-Pacific region was especially hard hit by several weather and climate-related hazards like tropical cyclones, especially cyclones and typhoons, floods, droughts, sand and dust storms, and also heat waves. COVID-19 pandemic has caused a global health and economic crisis, which we hope will be time limited. Hopefully, by the end of next year, we would be in better shape. Climate change has the effect of which is intensifying the extreme weather events, and it will lead to water crises, and we will have also sea level rise and melting of glaciers, which is meaning difficulties for water resources in the long run. And failure to mitigate the climate change will have a major negative impact on global economies, human living conditions, and also marine and land ecosystems. And this is not a short-term crisis. It may last up to centuries. So therefore we have to be successful in climate mitigation. And there are good hopes now that things are moving in the right direction, but so far we haven't seen improvement in the real atmosphere. The WMO's annual State of Global Climate report showed that last year was one of the 3 warmest years on record, despite of La Niña cooling in the Pacific Ocean. The economic and industrial downturn as a result of coronavirus pandemic is not a substitute for concerted and coordinated climate action. Experience suggests that emission declines during the economic crisis are followed by a rapid upsurge. We need to change that trajectory. The world needs to demonstrate the same unity and commitment to climate action and cutting greenhouse gas emissions as to containing the coronavirus pandemic. We can tackle this problem with much less impacts on everyday human life, whereas if we fail with the climate mitigation, that will be a persistent problem for several generations. Now is the time to consider how to use the economic stimulus packages to support a long-term switch to more environmentally and climate-friendly business and personal practices. Dear participants, although countries across the region have committed to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 to ensure that no one is left behind, this will remain a challenge if the populations remain skeptical to disasters that threaten to hinder or indeed set back progress. Building more resilient societies to weather and climate extremes remains an imperative and a necessary condition to progress towards sustainable development. To build back better through regional cooperation in Asia and Pacific, WMO is driving several important initiatives in collaboration with our partners to better support our members in these efforts. First of all, we have a major challenge that we have gaps in our observing systems, especially on the Pacific Islands, Caribbean islands, Africa and some parts of Latin America, and also some parts of Southern Asia. And that's why we have established systematic observation financing facility SOF, which will support the generation of an exchange of basic surface weather and climate observations for improved weather forecasts, climate information and early warnings globally, regionally, nationally and locally. And without the data, the quality of the early warning services remains very poor, especially in the data sparse areas. Secondly, most of the impacts of climate change, they are felt through water. And that's why we are creating a climate and water coalition for accelerating action on Sustainable Development Goal 6 to strengthen water and climate action at the country level. This coalition targets investments in water data infrastructure and services to reduce impacts from water-related disasters and impacts of climate change. Third, WMO would like to enhance the multi-hazard early warning system and services of all our member countries. Among others, keep promoting climate risk and early warning systems initiative called CRUISE, which supports development of early warning systems in LDC and SIDS countries to minimize loss of life and economic impacts from climate and weather-related events. These capacity development initiatives complement existing WMO technical activities aimed at enhancing regional capabilities in weather and climate-related areas. For instance, WMO collaborates with the regional partners in organizing regional climate outlook fora in East Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific, which produce user-relevant climate outlook products to reduce climate-related risks. WMO believes these efforts will better support countries in their transition to impact-based services. We need to, besides forecasting the meteorological parameters, we have to also forecast the impacts of those factors, and that's very much missing. This will see a fundamental shift from focusing what the weather will be to what the weather will do. The aim is to ensure that end users of these services are more prepared for and less vulnerable to hydrometeorological hazards than ever before. Dear participants, WMO looks forward to continued cooperation with ESCAP and its member states in advancing progress on the Sustainable Development Goals. We hope to achieve WMO's vision that by 2030 we will see a world where all nations, especially most vulnerable ones, are more resilient to the socio-economic consequences of extreme weather, climate, water and other environmental events, and underpin their sustainable development through the best possible services, whether over land, at sea or in the air. With that, I look forward to fruitful discussions. I would like to wish you happy and you all happy and safe meeting, and thanks for the opportunity to address you. Thank you.